And now it's time for America's Money Maven, Vicki Brackens. Vicki Brackens is the president of Brackens Financial Solutions Network, LLC, and a registered representative of LPL Financial, member SIPC. Vicki, how you doing?
I'm doing great, George, and it's happened. Nice to be back on a Sunday morning, I tell you. Had a nice long week. How about yourself?
It has definitely been a long week. I'll agree with you there.
We're laughing. It's kind of an inside joke because we both had a really long week, okay? But happy to be here this Sunday morning. So guess what happened on August 13th, George?
Let's see, what happened on August 13th? Somebody had a birthday?
Sort of.
Okay.
See, August 13th was what, Wednesday?
Yes.
Okay, August 13th was Wednesday, and we had the vice presidential announcement, and everybody celebrated, and a little bit later in the day, I picked up one of my publications and noticed something that was really, really surprising, and that is August 13th was Equal Pay Day 2020 for Black women.
Wow.
Okay, so now what does that mean? August 13th, okay, Equal Pay Day for Black women means that you have to wait until August 13th of 2020 before we had earned an equivalent amount of money as a white man in this country. Can you believe that?
Wow, that's amazing.
Okay, we used to talk about April and May, but we were combining that with all women. We didn't have numbers that would segment it per race. August 13th, it was sad. I'm gonna be honest with you. I felt really, really sad because I didn't realize, until you see it, you just don't understand it. But let's talk about why, because here's some things that I think are important and that we're going to delve into a lot over the next two or three weeks. One of the things that the data is starting to show is that because Black women are strapped with, I must hone in on one thing in particular. Black women are strapped with student loans at a higher degree than any other segment in the economy. So we already earn 62 cents on the dollar. Mm-hmm. And our post-secondary degrees are elevating us in the economic sphere, but we still have that gap. And because of the debt levels that we're carrying, it's causing Black women to struggle even more, even though they should be progressing at a faster rate. I know that was a real complicated sentence, but did you understand what I was saying?
Yeah, I understand.
Okay, so here's something to look at. Blacks in the U.S. are among the most likely to earn post-secondary degrees, and roughly 64% of Black students earning degrees are women. So that's a real positive thing. In fact, you've heard this before, we're one of the most educated segments in the economy, but it's the student loan debt.
Yeah.
The student loan debt, which is an albatross, is a weight around everything that we're doing. So you know what? I think we need to stop here on America's Money Maven and talk about some strategies around student loan debt and getting out of debt as quickly as we possibly can and avoiding more debt than necessary in order to fund our degrees.
Gotcha.
What do you think about that?
I think that's a great idea.
Okay, so let me start with one thing right now.
All right.
Because I've been fortunate to work with a couple of programs here around town. In fact, shout out, I have two amazing interns this summer that I haven't been able to bring into the studio to meet you, because you know I usually bring them in and have them come in and work with us, but because of what's going on, you haven't met them. Baradu Raka and Jamarius Lyons, both of them who came to us through the Synergy program. And you know, over the years, I've worked with On Point for College and worked with the Synergy program. And one of the things that happens is that we talk a lot about student loan debt. And I encourage everyone who's still in school or who's you know in their first or second, junior, sophomore, freshman, to do something that I find out that most people don't do. And that is understand what they're borrowing.
Mm. Mm-hmm.
We go to school, we sign the forms, we're so happy to be there. We never really pull the covers back to understand exactly what we're borrowing and what those amounts are adding up to year after year after year. So it's usually somewhere around 6 months before you graduate. In some cases, not even till graduation date, and you get the letter in the mail from Nelnet or from Sally Mae or whatever, and you see all these zeros that you realize exactly how much you borrowed. So for those students who are headed back to school right now, getting ready to go in for whatever year this happens to be, before you go back, please take a half a day and go into your student loan records and find out exactly how much you owe right now. If you don't know how to do that, call your financial aid office and talk to one of the loan officers there on your campus and say, I need to understand what my student loan debt looks like as of today. Number two, I'd like an estimate on what that's going to look like at the end of my academic career here with Syracuse University or Cornell or whatever.
And it starts 6 months after you graduate, by the way.
Exactly, okay? Find out what those numbers are currently, and based on your projected degree, your graduation date and how much more you need to borrow, exactly what that number is going to look like when you get ready to graduate. And then finally, as George just pointed out, you've got a 6-month deferment. The word is deferment. It is not a 6-month retirement of the debt or wiping out of the debt. It just means it's being delayed for 6 months before you start paying it. Find out, when will my payments start? How much will they be? How long will they last? Why do you want to know that? Because I want you to line that up against what your career aspirations are, so that when you go out to look for a job, you know, I need to earn X in order to pay for my student loans, my apartment, all those, so that your budget is squared with what your debt obligations are. But even before that, this is what I ask all of the young people, all the students that I'm working with in these programs to do. You know what I tell them, George? I say, listen, you already know how to live broke. You've been doing it for 4 years, 5 years. You know how to live on little.
Right.
Let's continue to live on little for the next 3 to 5 years. And we work it out mathematically based on whatever their debt is and their anticipated income for their career, so that we can take every excess dollar, and we consider excess to be everything beyond basic things. You got to have a place to live, not the fanciest place in town. In fact, you need a roommate. You're already with the roommate, stay with the roommate. You don't need a new car unless for some reason you're walking and you can't get to your job, but that new car doesn't have to be the most expensive thing on the road. Basic expenses. Beyond that, every nickel goes directly to your student loan, so that we're driving down that debt, and you are a free person. A free person in 3 to 5 years. 3 to 5 years will go by like that. 30 years won't. Paying for a student loan for 25 and 30 years is not the way to make progress. So here are the instructions. If you are a student right now, before you go back to school, find out how much you owe. Call the student loan office and get that information. It's your information you need to know. Also, find out what the anticipated debt level is going to be when you finish your degree. Third, if you're graduating, make sure that you try as much as you possibly can to continue to live broke. Continue to live on a shoestring, and every nickel that you have is applied to your student loan, because the goal is to be out of debt in 3 to 5 years. 3 is ideal, 5 is okay. Somewhere between that 3 and 5, be sure that you are free for the rest of your life. Well, George, guess what's coming up next week?
It is the virtual, and we got to do it real quick. Tell me.
We got Music and Your Money. If you haven't registered, be sure and go to brackensfsn.com under the events page and register. We've got a harpist, we've got a special saxophonist, we've got a great piano concerto coming from Danny Mixon, Antoinette Montague, Jazz Women for the Rescue, and even Will Gorman from here in Syracuse. We're gonna have a great time next week. Register. Encourage everyone to give us a call if you have questions. Area code 315-930-4499. Go into Facebook and like us. Go into YouTube and subscribe. And make sure that you are controlling your cash flow and get ready for winter, because winter is coming. I'll say at this point, George, our plate is full.
All right, Vicki Brackens is the president of Brackens Financial Solutions Network, LLC, and a registered representative of LPL Financial, member SIPC. This segment brought to you by Brackens Financial Solutions, because Vicki Brackens is America's money maven. Thank you, Vicki.
Thanks, George.